Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Looking Glass Astro. Probably just going to start a whole new channel. I've got a couple other YouTube channels, but they're not related, so I figured I'd start one for all my telescope stuff. Maybe throw some 3D stuff in there. So this video I'm making because I found this link here in Cloudy Nights, the N.I.N.A flat panel, and it's pretty convoluted. I mean, I appreciate that, Spokeshave got this thing started, and it's about 8 pages in the forum, and it just gets kind of convoluted, gets hijacked a few times. I had to sift through it and find out what was right, because I bought this panel on Amazon. It's a 5-volt panel, and I believe his panel that he bought, if I can get this to scroll, is a lot bigger, and I think it's a 12-volt panel. So mine's 5-volt. Kind of keep that in mind when you're, doing this project. And so I bought the panel on Amazon for 20 bucks. I'll try and put a link to that if they still have it. I bought a couple of Arduino Uno R3 boards. I think you can do this with the mini board too. I've seen guys do it with that. So I got a couple of them for like 15 bucks. And then the only other thing I needed to buy was that little MOSFET resistor, which kind of looks like that. So let's start with the flat panel. Sorry about the phone camera shaking, and I'll probably be out of focus and all kinds of shit. Sorry about that, but it is what it is. So I separated the panel. There's a seam right here. It's in an aluminum case, and then that plastic panel you just lift up, and there's a little circuit board underneath these buttons. So there's 2 white wires that come to the LED on this side, and then there's 2 white wires that end on the LED strip on this side, and it just goes all the way around and back over to here. And then these 2 wires connected to this end of the board, and the 2 wires from this side connected to this end. So I opened it up, desoldered the 2 white wires on both ends, and then there's a red and a black for the power, because it's USB powered, so I desoldered those. So that board, I could have just taken out the circuit board, but I just left it in there. But what I found is a couple of guys said that you had to take the wires from this side and that side and connect them together, both, positive, positive, negative, negative, to get it to work, and that's not true, at least not in my case. So I found that just using 2 wires from one end, so I use this end, works. So the wires on this end, I just clipped and left them in there. I didn't use them at all, the 2 white wires coming off the LED strip. So in the thread, they're about 8 pages, and like I say, it gets convoluted. You'll find, different drawings. That one didn't work for me. This one was helpful. And basically, the big thing was changing the collector and emitter and swapping out the wires. So that's kind of what I did on this. I kind of scratched out the ones and then added the others. You can look at that if you want, but there's kind of a diagram of the resistor, or MOSFET, whichever you want to call it. So let me show you that on Amazon, just so you know. And I don't know if this is still available, but that's the one I got. And it's 3050 MTP 3055 VL N channel. And I'll put a link to that in the comments. And in the thread, if you read through it, it's, like I say, about 8 pages. You're going to find 2 links to Github to get the sketch for the flat panel. Okay. So the first sketch I found, like on page 1 or 2, didn't work for me. So I had to do a little digging farther down, like page 5 or 6. There was another sketch, and it was, guys said it was a newer sketch. So I went to GitHub and got that one. The first one didn't work, so the second one, you got to go download Arduino IDE, and once you download it, you've got your sketch from GitHub. You just go up to the top and download the zip file, and then you find the .ino file, and you come up here. I think you start at Tools. See if I can do this while I'm holding this freaking camera. So in Tools, you'll find a place where you can select the board, and you can see I've got Arduino, and then right below it you can choose your COM port. So mine's on COM 3. So right now I've got it hooked up through the USB cable. No 12 volt connection there on that. That's another thing. They say, oh, you got to put 12 volts to it. Now, if you got a 12 volt flat panel, you might have to. But I found that just using the USB cable, it's got 5 volt power through the USB cable, and it works fine for me because I've got a 5 volt panel. Okay, so you basically come in, and once you got it, you file, and then you load the INO file, and then you hit that check mark, and it'll verify the file, make sure everything's as it's supposed to be. Then you hit the little right arrow key, and it will compile it, and then it will upload it over to the Uno. And you can tell when it's uploading, the little lights right in there will start blinking. It only takes a couple seconds. And the only other thing you need to look at is, in my case, if you see that volatile int LED pin equals 3, I used pin 3. So let me show you here. So some guys used, let it focus here, pin 13. I used pin 3. These are both PWM inputs or outputs. I don't know what it is, but pulse wave modulation. And that's what you'll see when I start the panel up. You'll see the waves going through the LED panel. Sometimes you can see them on an LED screen like that one. But just real quick, so I got the little MOSFET into the breadboard, and here's my setup. So I went from the ground here to the number 3 pin on the resistor, and the number 3, I went to the number 1 pin on the resistor, and the number 2 pin comes over here to the LED panel on the negative side, and then down here we've got the voltage in. So I've got my red wire, my positive lead, coming to the positive lead on the panel. Okay, that's how I got mine hooked up. You know, your mileage may differ. Everything in that thread was different, so I had to sift through it. But I'm making this video. Hopefully, it'll help you out. So now that I've got my sketch loaded, I hooked everything up to the breadboard. Let me come back over here and close the IDE. I'm going to close that. Now I've got N.I.N.A open. So with N.I.N.A, of course, you're going to have to first select the all-in-attack panel, which is the flat panel right here. And then you come up in the settings, and that'll bring up this window, and you'll find your COM port. And if you're not sure which COM port, either when you're loading the sketch or when you're in N.I.N.A, go to Device Manager, look at the COM ports and it'll tell you which COM port that Uno is on. So I got that loaded. So let's go ahead. Sorry about the shaky camera here. I'm trying to look around it. Okay, we'll fire that up. We'll get the little success message down there. And now I'm going to go ahead and toggle it on. So right now we're at 0 right here. And of course nothing's happening. So I'm going to change that to 25. And then I'm going to hit that little set button. I'm going to pan over here to try and catch both of them. So come over here and hit set. So there's 25. And there's that PWM, pulse width modulation. I think that's why LED screens do that. So I'm going to have a piece of paper on there too. But now let's take this to 250. So I'll put 250 in the hole, in the box, and I'm going to choose set again, and there's 250. So there's my proof of concept, okay, that I got it working, and hopefully this will help you get it working. So all I've got left to do is I'm waiting on some wire from Amazon. In fact, it's probably in the mailbox right now. And excuse me. So I'm going to solder all the connections onto the board, which will basically be the MOSFET. I'll take that and I'll set it down here in the back of the box, and I'll wire it up with those 3 wires. And then those 3 wires I'll solder to the back side of the Uno. Close the box up. And just so you know, I 3D printed that box myself. Got it off of Thingiverse or Printables or something. And what I did is when I put it in Orca Slicer, I just added 20 millimeters down here at the end of the box. And it stretched it out. I think that was, in my case, it was on the X-axis. So I'd have room to put that MOSFET in the box with the wires. So you can probably just find a little project box or whatever to put yours in. And let me see, is there anything else I wanted to tell you? I told you about the difference between the 5 volt and the 12 volt. Keep that in mind. And get yourself a little breadboard, and you know, they're cheap. I think $10 or something on Amazon with all the wires and stuff, just to test it out. And other than that, I think I've pretty much covered it all. And once I get this thing soldered up, get the box all bolted back together, and I've got the poster board or project board, you know, it's kind of thick. I've got 2 or 3 pieces there that I'm going to put on there. And I'll probably put, if there's some paper there underneath there, I'll probably put paper over the top of this just to tone it down a little bit. And then use those clamps, and I'll just clamp it on there for now. And when I get this done this afternoon, I'll go ahead and put it on the telescope. That's an 8-inch Astrotech. And I'll be running it off of the Mealy mini computer on top, and my other laptop that's in the other room. I do remote, and I've got a concrete pier outside, so I'll probably do it inside here, but it might be a good night to go out and image, so I might do that later too. But I'll kind of cap this off with another video showing you the completed box and the completed panel on the telescope, and then we'll run it through the Flat Wizard. I didn't show you that. So once you've got the flat panel done, you can come over here to the Flat Wizard, and what you're going to want is dynamic brightness right here on this. I think it defaults to dynamic exposure. So with dynamic brightness, you set all your parameters up. You know, for me, it's going to be probably 1 to 3 seconds, and I'll probably set the histogram target at about 35%, and we'll see how that works. So I'll be back a little later after I get this all boxed up and soldered up, and we'll check it out from that point. Alright guys, I want to get this wrapped up on this video on the flat panel. So, got my telescope all fired up here. I'll just show you real quick. There's the Mealy mini computer and the Pegasus Advanced Astro power box. And just so you know, I've gone ahead and kind of set some of this stuff up ahead of time, but got my focus set to about 4250. That's where I'm in focus. And I'll pull the cover off here. So here's kind of the finished product. Hey, I've got what, $25–30 invested in this. And that's just project board I got at Walmart, and I just got the clips on there to hold it together. I did put one piece of white poster board paper. I'm going to have to redo this. I'm going to have to buy some more poster board and get that cleaned up. Let's look at the other side. So there's the box all wired up. I just hot glued it to the back here. I did have to wait about 3 or 4 days to get this longer Arduino cable. And just so you know, I think that's a 3-footer. And the one that came with the Arduino was only like, I don't even know if it was 12 inches. Wouldn't make the trip back to the power box. So I had to order this one on Amazon, and it's USB 2.0, so it's a C to a B, and you do need the USB 2.0, just so you know. So I think that was $7, $8, something like that. Alright, and I'm going to connect to it through my Acer Predator laptop remotely and connect to the Mealy. So let me stop this part of the video, and then I'll do a screen capture on the rest of this. Basically, the way I've cut this, I can just set it up on here. Now, you know, typically with N.I.N.A, you might well, in fact, you should probably put this, when you get into N.I.N.A, send the telescope to zenith so that the mirror is sitting perpendicular to the tube, and you're not getting that mirror shift. But I'm not going to do that for this video. I'm just going to plug it in, and we'll go into N.I.N.A, and I'll show you how I set that up. Okay, I will be right back. Alright guys, I'm sorry for the sound quality. I'm using the microphone built into the laptop because I couldn't get my other microphone to work. So let's go through this real quick. Let me get over to my equipment. So I've got my camera turned on. I usually cool it -10, but you know, this isn't a legitimate flat creation here, so I'm not going to cool it. We'll just jump over. Let's see, flat panel is on. It's ready to go. And let's go over to the flat wizard. I've selected just 5. I usually do about 35 to 40 flats and flat darks. I've got it set on dynamic brightness. I've only got the one filter. I've got a color camera, so I've got a dual band filter in there, ZWO dual band. It works pretty damn good for $149. You can see the range of the flat panel, 0 to 255. I'm going to do a 1 second exposure max and 25% of the histogram, which would be about 16,384 within 10%. And if you watch down here, you'll see it go through the different brightnesses to get to that number of 16,384 or thereabouts. So let's click on go. Watch down here. It'll automatically turn on the flat panel, and that's what the closing cover is. Should say opening cover, but I think this will work. I could be wrong. It usually doesn't. There it goes. Turn light to on. So the light's on now. It's starting at 128. It's going to take an image. It's not going to like it. It's too bright. It sets it to 64. And it's not going to like that. It sets it to 32. It's not going to like that. And now it's going to go to 48. And that should be our number. And it's going to take 5 images. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And gentlemen, we are done. And our $35 cheap ass flat panel with paper clips on it and paper and a cheap Amazon panel does what it's supposed to do. Makes life a little bit easier. But thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you liked the video and hope you get something out of it. And have a good day. Thanks for watching.